Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of my Planet Coaster series. Last episode I built the entrance to my park, and in this shot you can see a sneak preview of what I'm building now. I've also made two buildings, one for Chief Beef and one for Cosmic Cow. Lastly, I made my first ride, the Magic Twirl. In this episode the goal was to make another ride, and to be honest, I didn't expect it to take me this long, and I feel like it's not even finished. Anyways, let's get started with this episode. I've started with finishing the entrance. It only had rocks and still felt very bland. This is easily helped by adding more bushes and trees. One thing I do want to note when you are placing trees or rocks is to sink them into the ground a little and rotate them every now and then. This way the objects don't all face the same way and will differ in height. This will make a much more varying environment. After finishing the entrance I went on to build the next ride. I've chosen to build the Victory, it's the name of the swinger ship in the game. My initial idea was to build the dock where the ship would be harbored, but while I was building it kind of turned out more like a fort. Here I had some problems with the pathway. I couldn't build and I didn't know why, but after a minute I figured out you wouldn't want a ship to the head while you were waiting, so I lowered the path a little. I had some more pathing problems here. I didn't want to narrow the path because this looks better using the whole width of a tile, but when I kept the current width the path wouldn't go around the corner smoothly. So I decided to build a tower to have the path go around the corner nicely. This is probably the point where I dropped the idea of a dock and decided to build a fort with a tower in each corner. As you can see, I used the round pillars of the castle as corners by turning them inside out. This way I could have the arc where the path goes through in the middle of the wall instead of in one of the sides. I tried to build a floor but I couldn't. I thought of using the tip of a flat rock as a stone tile and filled up the floor with these. This way I don't have any grass inside the building and to my surprise it looks pretty good. I never make straight towers. I always try to kind of layer my towers. This way the towers look much less simple, and by doing this your end result just looks a lot better. The idea here was to make a crumbled wall smashed by the ship, but it wasn't really doable because the stones are a very different color than the walls, and it would just not look right. So I skipped on that idea pretty fast, and I decided to make the dog team come back to the fort. I wanted to make a hallway out of stone, but I decided not to do it because the whole building is already made out of stone. So I thought of using wooden posts and wooden roofs to achieve a little variation in my building. I've decided to place some animated cannons, because it looks pretty fun if the ship goes up that they're getting shot at by the castle. And yet again I forgot to put a floor in the building, so I've done the stone trick again to hide the grass. It looks kind of silly if you enter a tower and there's grass underneath the path. Here I tried to make some nice railings, and the wooden balconies would just stick through the ceiling of the queue line. So I chose to make some iron fences, and as you can see in the middle I can place them, but that's because the boat is just a little too low, so I decided to leave that a little bit open. This is where I started finishing the last tower, and because it's right next to the building, a normal house so to say, I decided to make something which kind of fits both. So I decided to make some kind of clock tower, which is kind of part of the town, and from the inside it still looks a bit like the castle wall. Mostly with these things I do double layered walls. It's a trick I used ever since Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, and I still do it in this game. But I did not really know a good way to use it. All the things I did just did not really work out the way I wanted it to. So I took a small break, watched some television, hoping that later I might have come up with a good idea to solve this. So before stopping I had some more small things like this pirate and stuff, and this is something which turned out really cool, the broken ship. I forgot to hit record, so I've finished the entrance And the ship, as you can see, is with the exit path going right between them. I was just adding some trees to make it look just a little bit better. I wanted to fill up this little area as well, because from when you're at the attraction, you want to see some trees above the wall, so it doesn't look so empty behind it. As well, from the other side, it was just an open field, and why not add some trees and bushes just to make it a little bit more lively. As it turned night, I placed some lamps around the fort, because the best time to place them is when it's dark, so you can actually see how much influence they have. And because the ones on the wall didn't lit the place up enough, I added the small ones at the bottom as well. And this is something I really like, the spotlights in this game. In real life, if you have a plain wall, they're mostly lit up by different colors. This is so the wall doesn't look so basic. And this is something I wanted to add in my own building as well. I'll show what I mean a little bit later in the video. For now, I'll just be placing some more scenery around the fort and adding some more details. These iron rings are actually pretty great for... These iron rings are actually pretty good for adding some details to your buildings. They're small, they're simple, you can literally place them everywhere. These are the double walls I talked about before. It just makes the building have more depth, more details. And it's nighttime again, so I think I'll be placing the spotlights. Yeah, the spotlights I'm placing right now. And as you can see, I'm using different colors. And from a distance it just looks so much better than if you're just using one color. The spotlights are pretty awesome, and I can't wait for the next alpha phase in which we have 3 axis rotations. Because now sometimes you just can't direct the beam of the spotlight just how you want it. And with the 3 axis rotation you can rotate them in every way you want. That's something I really can't wait for. I have some pretty cool ideas with it. This is me finishing the tower. As you can see, these are the double layered walls I was talking about before. If you have a wall, you can basically place it on the inside or the outside of a line on your grid. And if you do them both, you can have some pretty good, nice results with it. There are no cornerstones in the game yet, so I decided to use wooden poles in the corners instead. It looks pretty good, but if cornerstones get released on Alpha 2, I'll probably be switching them around anyway. I tried to add some spotlights. It would be really cool if the tower was, if only the tower was lit up. But no matter what I tried, nothing really got the result I was looking for. So I just added a lamp above the bell and decided to use spotlights when the 3 axis rotations are released. This is me adding some more spotlights to the scenery because spotlights are awesome. I decided to add some more details to the inside of one of the towers. Windows go both ways, of course, so I've added some windows on the inside. It's pretty simple, but it adds so much more. And as you can see here, I decided to place some trees behind the wall to make them stick out above the wall, and it just looks a lot better. And of course trees don't float, so I had to place them on some rocks to make some height differences. And I barely had any room for spotlights, so I just placed these two, and when I have 3 axis rotation I'll probably be adding more. So the left side was still a little bit empty. I've added a few trees, not too many, but just enough to make it look a little bit more appealing when you're waiting for the ride. This is where I wrapped the whole thing up, and I'm pretty happy how the whole thing turned out. There's a few more shots coming of the results. Well, that was it for today, guys. I'm really happy how the whole thing turned out. I hope you are too. Next time I'm probably going to build the first roller coaster of the park. And I have a few cool ideas, so I hope to see you then.